I don't think it's such a significant difference between the times of sunset and when Seisach Kochavim actually happens. There are those who wanted to claim that there's a major difference in time, let's say, between summer and winter here in Jerusalem, let's say, between when the sun sets and how long before the stars come out. The scientists today recognize three types of dusk. These are objective standards. Why? Because they're measured by when the sun is a certain degree below the horizon. They call civil dusk 6 degrees below, when the sun is 6 degrees below the horizon, that's called civil dusk. And everything until a point is civil twilight. When the sun is another 6 degrees below the horizon, they call that nautical dusk. Everything until that point between civil dusk and nautical dusk is called nautical twilight. And then there's the astronomical dusk, 18 degrees, when the sun is 18 degrees below the horizon. That's when the sky achieves maximum darkness. If you look over here, on June 21st, which was just last month, the astronomical sunset was 7:41 in Jerusalem. Actually, looking at your Luach, it says, wasn't it closer to 7:50? The answer, why is there a difference between the way the Luach says and the NASA and the astronomers tell us? Because they say our elevation actually changes it. Because we're above sea level by some 800 meters or so, it actually means that sunset's later. This is assuming sunset on sea level, right? It doesn't compensate for the actual elevation. Either way, it says that from sunset at 7:41, June 21st, until the sun is 6 degrees below the horizon, it takes about 27 minutes. By the way, this might be rounded up, okay, because we don't have seconds. This might be a round number. It might be closer to 26 minutes and some seconds. And on September 22nd, the day of the autumnal equinox, the sunset in Jerusalem is at 6:35, and the sun itself is 6 degrees below the horizon 24 minutes thereafter. In December 22nd already, I would have thought it gets even less, because this is the winter. This is the winter solstice. This is the shortest day of the year. The shortest day of the year, the sun sets at 4:40 in Jerusalem, and it still takes a good 27 minutes for the sun to get 6 degrees below the horizon. And on March 20th, the day of the vernal equinox, Tekufas Nisan, the sun sets at 5:50, and it takes another 25 minutes or so for the sun to get 6 degrees below the horizon. So my argument here is that now we see this is 27 minutes. Certainly the major opinions about Seisach Kochavim, about, let's say, the Vilna Gaon, 13 and a half minutes in ideal conditions. The Rambam's 18 minutes in usual conditions for the sun to go down. You see here that the difference for our purposes, certainly the way the sages understood these things, is not statistically significant. That is, I don't know why someone would say that on December 22nd, the difference between sunset and Seis should be significantly less than the difference between sunset and Seis on June 21st. Okay, you see that the sun actually, when it sets, there's a chart that actually shows this. The sun is setting at a certain angle and then levels off. That's why each subsequent 6 degrees takes a little bit longer, because as the sun gets below the horizon, it's actually leveling out, so to speak. So it takes a little bit longer each time. But certainly at the beginning of the sunset, towards the beginning, you extrapolate the angle of descent, the tangent. If you would graph this out, remember your calculus, the tangent is actually kind of a straight line. You could extrapolate how long would it take for the sun to get after 18 minutes. How long? Let's say there was a 3 degrees or 4 degrees below the horizon. Let's say that I think that's how you measured Sacer. So considering that 6 degrees is 27 minutes, so how long does it take? 18 minutes. 2/3 of 6 is 4 degrees, right? 18 minutes. So the Rambam would say about 4 degrees below the horizon. You can see that in each of these cases, for the sun to get 4 degrees below the horizon, it's not statistically significant, the difference between the seasons. There's some who say that. Like I said, I don't see that, and hopefully there's someone who knows the math better, or just like the astronomy better, but I just don't see it. Okay, there's maybe someone has an insight to this problem. There are those who assume that in September and March there should be an amount of time between Seis and Shkia and Seis, and it should be shorter in December and longer in June. But I don't know. It doesn't. The reality doesn't seem to reflect that. As a matter of fact, like I said here, it seems to be longer at these points and shorter at these points. Okay, so We wish everybody. Oh, we have a question there. Yeah.
Apparently, these sorts of time differences depend on the latitude. So if you're living in Lithuania and you're writing a book
Yeah, I
that
know
would
that. Yeah.
follow the rules, then it would be significantly different, and your
Yes.
objection would not even hold.
That's why I said for Jerusalem. But I was talking about when Chazal discussed these things, they're talking Jerusalem. I have seen that. Then places like that are much farther from the equator, you do see these differences. But for Bavel and Eretz Yisrael, you do not. Like the Rambam says, everything I said about Kiddush HaChodesh and how to spot the moon and all these things, they apply to latitudes, Mediterranean latitudes, but not in the extremes. So I'm just talking about that, Florida, Florida and Jerusalem times. So yeah, either way, I don't think there's much of a nafkamina in this case. Usually, if there were what is the point for it here? I said that using 18 minutes as a standard, for public policy purposes and Kriyat Shema, etc. Wait 18 minutes from sunset to say Kriyat Shema or whatever. That's when it says happens. It seems to be it's a number that you can use in all seasons and all times, in at least in Jerusalem. And you don't have to compensate, you don't have to add or subtract based on the season. Add 4 minutes for the summer or subtract 4 minutes for the winter. Okay. We should all merit to see the divine promise come true. Thank you all for being here. May we see speeding our days, the destruction of Malik, Shalom, and Nitzachon. Be well.